Happy New Year everybody and welcome to my channel. I'm sorry, I look rough. I'm in my pyjamas, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I went out last night for New Year's Eve and it was very fun, but I am still tired. So yeah, I'm here to do my December book wrap up, as well as share with you some mini reviews of like the films, well, the one film and TV show that I watched during December. So yeah, stick around if you're interested in that. Thank you all so much for joining me last year and like adding it to my lovely little YouTube bubble. I've really enjoyed my time getting to know some of the people that watch my videos and such, and I hope I end up with more friends on the interwebs this year. So yeah, so I'm going to start with the books that I read in December. I was going to say January, I'm getting really confused. I'm going to be doing that thing like right in 2017 for the next like 3 months and then sort of going over it overnight and it looking really scruffy. But anyway, yeah, I ended up reading a lot more books than I thought I did, like going through and checking them now. I read like 7, I think. I haven't got 7 physically to show you because I think 2 of them or so were like ebooks. I am going to stop babbling and give you my reviews. So the first book actually I'm not going to be talking about because I have actually filmed a like a single review for it, but it is the first book in the Rosewood Chronicles called Undercover Princess by Connie Glynn, who's best known as Nudorella here on YouTube. So as I did say, I do have a video that I'll try and get up eventually. I did read it, I think I finished it around the 1st of December or something, so it's quite a while ago, and I think that's why I was shocked that I actually read more than I thought I did in December, just because I finished quite a few things like earlier on. But yeah, I'll link that around when it's available. So the next one, again, I don't have a physical copy of, but that was the final volume of Series 1 of Rosario to Vampire by I can't say it. Akihisa Aikida. I'm so sorry, I can never pronounce it. But this is a couple of manga that I've been reading on and off for so many years. I think I've talked about it for ages. I finally, in my lifetime, finished the first series, and I was so happy to kind of get that out of the way before the new year, because now I can decide whether I want to continue on with the second and I think the last series this year, or whether I just want to kind of leave it there. But yeah, it was really awesome to kind of get that weight off my shoulders, and I actually enjoyed this a little bit more. I think if you've been watching me for a while, every time I've mentioned Rosario to Vampire, I've always had like ups and downs of it, and depending on the volume it can be a bit of a hit and a miss. But anyway, I ended up giving this a 3.5 out of 5 stars overall. Unlike the majority of the mangas, I felt like this didn't exactly fall into that formulaic kind of structure that quite a few of them had. I was actually left having scenarios that were quite unexpected at times, which was really refreshing, because quite a lot of the mangas beforehand was very, like, you felt a pattern, you can guess what was going to happen because it basically had the same structure as prior manga to it. But this one it felt a little bit fresh. I feel like it upped its game just a little bit, probably because it was the series finale and they just wanted to go out with a bang. So yeah, I did appreciate that. In my head, when I was reading the last chapter, I actually thought, this is so weird, it feels like we've devolved a bit, it feels like it would have worked better as an early scene, and I was totally right. It was almost like a flashback sort of thing, so definitely appreciated that once I've learned that that was correct, otherwise it would have felt like really out of place. But yeah, overall I am glad, I think, that I've read this series. I don't know, there are some hit and misses, but it's one of those things that I've been reading on and off for so many years, it's just kind of cemented itself in my life. But yeah, if you want to know more further thoughts or whatever, I've always got a written review on Goodreads. I won't keep saying that throughout this video, but that's there if you do want to check out some more points that I probably haven't mentioned now. So next up, I have a book that was kindly sent to me by an author called Nev Jordan. We were speaking on Instagram for like, oh god, I want to say a good few months, maybe like 4+ months, back and forth, and the main subject, of course, was his book that he was coming out with. At the time, I forgot, I didn't really know what it was going to be called. That was kind of like a surprise. I didn't really know too much about it. It was sort of marketed to me as being like Ransome-Riggs' Peculiar Children, basically. And I thought, yeah, I like that. That's what kind of sparked the conversation between us, because he had seen my reviews on those books and he was like, oh, I'm writing a book with like similar themes, you know, for lovers of that sort of genre, if you'd like to read it, sort of thing. And then the conversation sparked from there. And that book is School of the Woven Way, as mentioned already, by Nev Jordan. So this is set in Newcastle upon Tyne, so it was nice to have, you know, something in my country, because a lot of fantasy books I notice, not that there's anything wrong with it, but they're set in like the United States and everything, and when real places are mentioned I haven't a clue what they are, because I've never been brought up in that area. So it was nice to recognise, you know, Newcastle. Never been there before, but obviously I know of it. They have a very strong Geordie accent, so it was nice that we had a little glossary in the back to kind of help you. I say accent like I can hear them, but you know what I mean, like that it was spelt how they would say it, certain characters. So it was nice that we had a glossary at the back, but I did feel like I spoilt myself a little bit. I did say I was going to do a full review on this, but there wasn't too much I needed to say, and I spoke with Nev already, and I just didn't like it as much as I was hoping to, so I said, you know what, I'm going to mention it in my wrap up anyway. It's got a full review on Goodreads. I feel like I don't want to come on here and do a single review kind of being harsh, because, you know, didn't want to do that. Wasn't feeling that way. But, you know, I feel like a lot of people would like this. For me, unfortunately, I just got so overwhelmed with the sort of overuse of words, the content of words. It's really difficult to explain. Give me a moment to compose myself. Basically, I just felt like there were so many pretentious, if I can say that, pretentious words used. There was just too many big, this sounds like I'm stupid, but honestly there were too many big words to describe a situation in almost like a simile sort of way, so I was left not knowing what the words meant anyway, and then it was just like explained in such a florally way that I didn't understand the point of what the characters were saying or what the story was giving me, so I just didn't connect with anything, unfortunately. I didn't really understand a lot of what was going on, unfortunately, which led me to giving it a 1 star, sadly. It just, honestly, it wasn't for me. I was hoping to like it, but I think, I actually mentioned this in my Goodreads review as well, I feel like Nev would be a really good poet writer, like a poet. But for a book like this, in such a small amount of time as well, I just didn't know what was going on. And yeah, it just wasn't for me. Again, a more eloquent review on my Goodreads. I'll stop saying that now. Sorry Nev, but thank you again if you are watching this for sending this to me. I know a lot of other people have liked it, so I just wasn't the right reader, but thank you. Oh yeah, I'd like to quickly mention, I completely forgot. I tried to pick up quite a few small books last year, that's so weird, because I wanted to try and finish my Goodreads goal of 65 books. I managed to get there at the skin of my teeth. I literally finished on Friday or the Saturday, I think, so the 30th, because I knew I was going to go out on like the 31st, and oh no, yeah, I knew I was working on the Sunday, like New Year's Eve, and I was going out in the evening. I was like, I'm not going to have time to read, so I managed to get it finished. And yeah, I think I'm going to lower, if I haven't already set my Goodreads goal, I think I'm going to lower it. I might look into some books, see what I'm hoping to read this year, and then sort of adjust it on that level. Hi Mum, just filming a video, but yes, Kiev and chips later will be good. Mum, I thought you was coming in here. I said, how did you know that? Did you just hear? Did you literally just hear me? I just said that. Oh no, was you coming in? You also? Yeah, and did you hear me say Kiev and chips are alright, please? For dinner, yeah? That's alright. Thank you.
1 or 2 Kievs?
2 please.
Yeah, I would like 2 as well.
What time are we gonna have? I like it. When are you gonna wear it? It looks like a dress.
It's a tunic, isn't it?
It's gonna flare out a little bit. That'd be cute. Lovely. You should get some leggings. Or
I'm gonna start buying
get some leggings.
clothes, you know?
Yes, Mum. Treat yourself. Okay, sorry about that. So next up, I picked up James Patterson, The Dolls. I think it's with Keisha Ball as well, and it's one of the bookshop books, if I can say it. So this isn't the first James Patterson book I've read. I actually read, I feel like it was the manga version of his Maximum Ride series, but I think I only read like the first one. I keep meaning to go and pick it up because I really did enjoy that. Was it the manga or was it the actual novel? I can't remember. Maybe it was like a mix, I don't know. But yeah, ever since then I've been like, right, I need to find this. I need to like figure out and get my shit together and read it basically, but I haven't had the chance. So I picked this up. It was literally like £1 in Asda, and the way Bookshots is, let me just describe it to you in the back. Basically it's short, fast-paced, high-impact stories by James Patterson. He's like the founder of it or whatever, he does it, but I think maybe he brings in other authors sometimes, I'm not too sure. But it's basically to deliver a punch in a short amount of time. It's kind of designed to be almost like a one-sitting read, or you can just read it, pick it up and put it down, and like still have instant drama when you go back in, if that makes sense. But yeah, I actually quite enjoyed this. I feel like I almost enjoyed it a little bit more than I was expecting. I don't know why I'm getting those vibes, but I thought it was just going to be a quick, easy read, but I actually ended up really enjoying it. So I gave this a 4 stars. Basically, what this is about, I'll read you back because it's really short. So, the dolls are perfect lovers, perfect companions, and perfect killers. Investigative reporter Lana Wallace has covered many crimes of passion in 10 years, but nothing will prepare her for the dark secrets of the dolls. So it's kind of set in like a regular Earth setting, with like, it's just a normal like crime thriller. However, we're a little bit more advanced with technology and like artificial intelligence. So it kind of gave me, if you guys know the Channel 4 series Humans, it gave me that sort of level where they had like these dolls or these AI humanoid beings that you could buy and sort of use how you want, and it's set around murders and those dolls, if that makes sense. So it was really, really good. I did enjoy it. Again, I'm trying to branch out in terms of crime and like thriller sort of things, and I'm enjoying my journey doing so. I can't remember if I said, but I gave it a 4 stars. I love that we've got a load of like short chapters, and when I say short I mean like 2 to 3 pages, because I feel like I can easily put it down and pick it back up and, you know, not have to keep like dragging it out. Do you know what I mean? Like if I have like a couple of minutes that I want to quickly get some reading in, I don't feel guilty putting it down mid-chapter because the chapters are really short, and I feel like that helped me to read it quicker as well. I really hope that there are more books by James Patterson that dwell on this kind of storyline a little bit longer, because I would have liked a lot more time with our characters like Sandra and Lana, and I'd like to hear a bit more from Alex. And yeah, I just thought it was a really good story. So if you have an interest in sci-fi, AI sort of things, then, oh, and crime and thriller of course, then pick this up. I mean, you know, you won't be wasting too much time if you don't like it. Next up, I picked up a book that I actually got when I was in Camden for my birthday, and this is a graphic novel, but it's like, it almost reminds me of like a newspaper graphic novel, and I think this is where the author stems from originally, like newspaper weekly cartoon strips. This was Gemma Bovary by Posy, I'm not too sure how to pronounce it. So I just picked it up because it looked interesting. I was like, cool. I read the inside a little bit and figured out like what it was about, and I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it, but why not? It was like £4 or something, and I kind of almost wanted it as something to kind of physically remember that day, which is silly, but you know. So from what I got as well, it's basically like a modernisation graphic novel version, kind of like parallel worlding of the classic Madame Bovary, which I had never heard of, never knew what it was about, but there it does, like, if you've never heard of her or the book or whatever, it does it in a way that you kind of explained each bit, because we have like almost a fanatic of the book narrating for us the story of Gemma Bovary, and he kind of, you know, informs you about the original book and kind of how these things are linking. So you're never lost really. I didn't find like I was at a hindrance because I didn't know anything about the original works. But yeah, I actually, again, I enjoyed this more than I was expecting. So we're basically following Gemma Bovary, who she's an English person. She's like moved to France with her husband, and basically it's almost like the destroying of her life, like from her height all the way to down to basically her death, and this narrator is kind of telling you her life story basically, and how he feels he's involved with her death. So it's a very interesting concept. Again, it mirrors the classic Madame Bovary, and you're explained why throughout this. Yeah, I actually really like this. The art style was quite interesting as well. I'd say it's quite a mature style that wants to focus, if you see what I mean. Like, it's really like sketchy and like very like newspaper comic booky style, which I really liked. So yeah, give this a go if you're interested. I don't know how easy it is to find because I had never seen this before, but yeah, cool book. Then I was desperately rummaging for short books. Forgot that I had like ebooks with short books on there, but I'll get to that later. So I ended up remembering that I had this little book, which was The Magical Garden, Spells, Charms and Folklore for Magical Gardens and the Gardeners Who Tend Them by Sophia, with Denny Sargent, who I believe at the time, not sure if they're still together or alive, they are like together. I think they're like married or something. Just from what it says at the back, they basically say the exact same thing about this person lives here with this person, and do you know what I mean? Like, I'm assuming they're together. So this is basically like a little garden book with like a bit of green witchery within it and stuff like that. And I thought it was going to be a bit more than this. I got this like I put it in a donation like amount of money at like my local hospital, and then I picked up a few books because they allow you to do that. And yeah, it just wasn't too amazing. I ended up giving it a 2.5 stars. It was a quick read, and I think it's because it's such like, let me try and get like, for example, this is a very long book, but the way it's written, it's like narrow, so that made it easy to read. But this is short. I feel like I haven't got any regular sized books. These are regular sized, I don't know. So because it's like short and stumpy, I think that's what made me get through it so quick, if that makes sense, because like the words, not even all of them have a lot of words, like they're like this. So, you know, really quick reading, easy to get through, but oh damn, everything fell. As I was saying, really quick reading and easy to get through, but it just lacked something for me. I think what it was mainly is we're given spells in this, and it's just like random words, but it doesn't really oftentimes give you the context of those words, so it doesn't tell you their meanings, their origins. And then for example, it's got like different plants and stuff, and kind of like what they're for. Let me try and show you an example. Like for example, it says like there's different kind of plants to help you bring money into your household, but and like they will hint on a religion that stems from, but they won't tell you much depth about why they believe this and that. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what I was hoping for. Maybe I'm looking for a more historical accuracy to some of the folklore and magic around certain plants, but yeah, I guess maybe this just wasn't it. But you know, it was a quick read. I don't think it's got much grasp on it, and I don't know, I might end up getting rid of it eventually, but it is a cute little book, and it is what it is, as my mother hates me saying. And lastly, I remembered, as I mentioned briefly earlier, that I had a ebook that I could read that was like a short amount of pages, and so yeah, I decided to pick up Trump's Christmas Carol by Lucien Young, which came out I think November 1st or November the something. I had read like a couple of months prior Alice's Adventure, why can't I say it? Alice's Adventures in Brexitland, which was Lucien Young's like debut, and I thought it was hilarious. I think I gave that 5 stars, and I ended up giving this a 5 stars as well. So I got this through the publishers and like the author through NetGalley, so thank you again. 100% my honest opinions, you know, yada yada yada. And basically Lucien Young is like a political satirical author that kind of talks about current topics in like a funny fairy tale sort of way. So this one, for example, was in the style of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, but obviously we're using Trump as the protagonist, antagonist, however you want to call it, and it kind of talks about like the current USA political happenings. So that's one drawback I will say. Obviously you have to read these kind of things at the time for it to hold much significance, because obviously this is eventually going to be outdated, but regardless of that, it was so funny, so true, and there were quite a good amount of themes in there, if you will. Funnily enough, it felt a little bit melancholy, and there were a few times where I like stopped for a moment and I was like, oh damn. But yeah, it was very good. I think even for someone like me that has very limited knowledge of like politics, specifically USA politics, you can still understand it. I did have to look up a few names, but I usually recognise faces more than names, so I was like, oh yeah, I know who that is, sort of thing. Yeah, really enjoyed it, would totally recommend it. So that is it for the reading part of this video. I hope you had an amazing reading year. I don't think I'll be doing a top 10 books just because I haven't really thought it through, so sorry about that. But yeah, now on to the kind of film TV wrap up, which is only 2 things, so it shouldn't take too long. So this was kind of spontaneous, but I ended up watching Small Soldiers like a couple of nights ago, or days ago rather. It's the 1998 one, and I gave it 4 stars. So it came down and I realised I only literally missed 5 minutes, and I thought, I recognise this, let me stick it on. And I had actually thought it was called Toy Soldiers, so for the longest time whenever I thought of this film I was like, oh yeah, it's Toy Soldiers, blah blah blah. No, it wasn't. So that's why I had to like stare at it for a while. I was like, I recognise this, but I don't recognise the name, and I was like, that's that's what I thought it was. Yeah, it's Small Soldiers. Basically what this is about, if you haven't watched it, is like some kids get caught up in the war between like these new like war toys, which are like some evil soldiers and some like inhuman kind of race thing. I don't know, there's some weird characters, but they're really cool and they're the good ones, and so it's really awesome to watch as these toys come to life. And I think that's why now in my adult life I like toys, because I somehow wish that this was to happen. Not exactly a war, but like they were to come to life and like just engage. But yeah, it's a really fun film. I feel like it's done in a way that's smart and, to me, kind of, if you want to imagine it, believable, because instead of making toys alive with just magic, it's like with this science, like this powerful sort of army battery thing, that, not battery, like data system thing that makes them alive. So I feel like that could be possible somehow, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. But yeah, it also goes back to Alan, which is our main character, one of the kids in this film. It goes back to his trust relationship with his parents, because they have recently moved, because he's had so many issues with his schools and stuff like that, and he's kind of trying to prove to his parents, you know, this is true, you might not have been able to trust me in the past, but look, these toys are like causing havoc, I'm not going crazy, basically. But yeah, it's such a fun, easy to watch film, fast paced, and it's definitely aged well, so I totally recommend that if you are interested. And then lastly, I wanted to quickly mention Doctor Who, which I gave it 4 stars. This was the Christmas special, and it was our final time with Peter Capaldi. So honestly, the ending is what really choked me up, and when we got like a little bit of a time with 2 of some of my favourite assistants, it got me in the feels. I did think it was based on that Special Christmas where, you know, there was like a moment of friendship. Do you know which one I'm talking about? I can't remember the year. And then it was so beautiful. They didn't dwell on it too much. It was kind of briefly, it looked at like it was in the beginning, and they didn't really stay on the battleground. It was kind of taken elsewhere, like the story was taken elsewhere. And then we came back to it in the end, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely it. And it was so lovely to watch. And I also loved how they blurred an old episode, like back when it was black and white, to this one, and sort of made it work, because we had not one Time Lord but 2 Time Lords, and it was like, what? It was amazing. There was a time where Peter Capaldi as the Doctor was saying, don't, like when he was regenerating, basically he was saying, remember, don't tell anybody your name, they wouldn't understand it anyway, but kids, they can. And I'm just thinking, oh my god, is it Santa? Don't know why that just went through my head. Honestly, the main bulk of the story was just okay. I do think they gave Capaldi a really good send-off, but it wasn't as strong as some past Christmas episodes have been. Anyway, I will very much miss him as our actor for Doctor Who, and I'll probably hate this new one until like she proves herself, because I'm always like that with the Doctors. I get so attached with them, and then I'm like, oh, I hate this new one, and I'm like, no, I love them, and then I don't want them to go. But yeah, that is it for this video entirely now. Happy New Year again, and I shall speak to you in some more videos for the upcoming days, years, life. Bye!